It is indeed a pleasure to have this privilege to play here for you. We intend to give you a very fine program, so just settle back, relax, and enjoy the moment.
Good morning. 7:31 a.m. Thursday morning. Yeah. Hopefully, anyone tuning in, either live or later, hopefully, you had a relatively quiet evening last night. We know Elsa came through. I myself am working through some issues here at where I live. Good morning, Nicole. Good morning, Whiskey Neat. So good to see y'all in the chat so early. I know here in my apartment I've sustained a little disruption, but I'm definitely not going to complain, y'all. I watched the news all evening regarding the weather. I kept up to date. You said sirens going off over there, Nicole, on Twitch. Am I doing all right? Looks like am I frozen? Looks like Facebook is frozen. Let me see. Oh no, I'm not. Sorry. Got a little scared. But it looks like anyway, I want to just take a moment and be grateful. There's a little bit of disruption going on in my building, but I'm grateful that I have not lost power, and hopefully there won't be any interruptions today. So I am grateful and thankful. My parents are doing all right. Drop in the chat if you can hear me okay, or whatever. It looks like there was a little bit of a pause, so just let me know. It says we live on, you live on, okay. I don't want y'all I ain't gonna repeat that, but okay, gotcha. The tornado sirens, gotcha. Yeah, it looks like from my friends on Twitter last night, there were some up all night, no damage, thank God. Good morning, D Bartlett. Yeah, it looks like from my friends on Twitter, it looks like some folks were, and the weathermen and women and meteorologists, I should just say that, meteorologists were telling folks to keep your phones on. Thank you for the thumbs up. Keep your phones on and remain vigilant in case there is some sort of tornado warning. It looks like there was a tornado that touched down in Edisto. So I am grateful, but my mind and my heart is on folks who perhaps were inconvenienced or displaced or whatever. I know that the water situation, however, downtown Charleston, we've been talking a lot about environmental justice. In fact, even though today's live stream was entitled Pull Up Justice, and we're going to talk about Pull Up Justice. Shout out Nicole, Nicole, me and you. Right there. You in the DMs yesterday, you shared a clip with me that I've been talking about it with my friends up north, both in Philly and Jersey, about what happened in Mount Laurel regarding the racist tirade that this man went on. And so we're going to talk about pull-up justice. And what is pull-up justice? I just kind of made that up. I don't know if that's a thing, but that's what I'm going to call it, where you just pull up. Yo, what's up? And we're going to talk about, we can't avoid it. I live in Charleston. I live in a place that is surrounded by water, coastal city. And Elsa did definitely come through. And while she wasn't hurricane and, hurricaning it and all that, she definitely was disruptive. Whiskey Neat, you said tornado siren since 1:45 a.m. Yeah, I'm grateful to not report it. Right. Exactly. Yeah, I kind of woke up a little grumpy when I saw some, I had to get the little trash can out to collect some water dripping, and I'm not even on the top floor. I told myself, I'm like, why is this happening? I'm like, girl, you on your way to Starbucks. You about to go get you a caramel macchiato with an extra shot. Good morning, Debbie on Facebook. Like, what are you complaining about? There was no issues. All I saw was pine needles and frogs. That's it. So I had to kind of collect myself. I'm like, this too shall pass me. You be all right. It's just whatever. Jersey knows what's up, Nicole, for sure. All right, let's get to it. I want to go ahead and switch to to the second monitor. All right, so starting off again, y'all see a theme. It's gang gang. It's Friends of Gadsden Creek. Is definitely going to be a priority on this live stream, right? So I'm activating folks. I'm asking folks, engaging folks to please engage in this fight for environmental justice. Shout out to Seb and Brian. I called Brian Williams a couple days ago. I had a brain fart. Brian Walters, and I just totally brain fart. The more I stream, the more y'all will get to know how my mind works. I don't know where I am on the spectrum, but I'm on the spectrum, if you haven't gleaned that already. And I mean that in a great way, because I'm brilliant. But no, my mind works really weird. So sometimes I switch up names, or certain names kind of throw me off a little bit. But Brian Walters and Seb did this amazing thing. My friends did amazing things. So yesterday, I believe Seb and or Brian posted, look at Whiskey Neat. Look at Whiskey Neat at the bottom here. Look at Whiskey Neat. Seb posted this, posted about this 3-part essay that both Seb and Brian wrote for on Avery Short's of Columbia University Graduate School of Architecture. I don't think I've ever said this, but Seb, that's Seb's field. Seb, they are an expert in architecture. Seb has been featured in New York Times Magazine. Right, and Brian is just all around amazing. He's working on his PhD, has Jersey roots. Love Brian, super compassionate and super engaged in dismantling white supremacy, especially in the realm of environmental issues and advocacy. So shout out to Brian. They penned this amazing essay, so check it out. I'm going to go back out and click on the actual. So yeah, if you go to Friends of Gadsden Creek on Instagram, you'll see, I love when the chat is so active so early. Keep chatting, y'all. If you go to Friends of Gadsden Creek on Instagram, you'll see the post. It's multiple posts. Let's read a little bit of it, right? So this is one of 3. Let me go back real quick. AV Shorts Live, Wednesday the 7th. That was yesterday. The Fight to Save Gadsden Creek and Dismantle Environmental Racism. Friends of Gadsden Creek, Seb Cho and Brian. Seb, if I messed up your last name, hit me up. All right, AV Shorts Live. Okay, we read that. All right, so here it says mutual aid and slogan, a teal painted cardboard. Oh, okay. I think this is the descriptor. Set up with flooding, marked of interest, white tent, set up next to the playground. Gadsden Green, we shared 300 meals of baked chicken, flounder, danced with young residents, and made conversation with folks over laminated, printouts of the neighborhood, what the neighborhood looked like 50 and 100 years ago, before Black homeowners' property was demolished to create racially segregated. Go ahead, y'all. Racially segregated public housing. Y'all go ahead and read this. Though the Friends of Gadsden Creek, FOGC, began in 2018 as a grassroots environmental campaign focused on preventing the destruction of Gadsden Creek, one of the last remaining tidal creeks on the Charleston Peninsula. Our activism in recent years spotlights the damage inflicted, both past and present, by the city of Charleston against Gadsden Green, the predominantly Black community that lived beside the creek for generations. While the campaign has evolved over the years, those of us at our mutual aid event in late 2020 were guided by the slogan on our matching t-shirts, Dismantle Environmental Racism. Y'all, so go check this out. Please, like I said before, please like and share the content on this page. One thing, I want to say this. Good morning on Facebook. Good morning, Meg. I want to make something clear. I will continue to hold the Post and Courier accountable, right? When they do things like refuse to report on Harry Griffin's involvement in a Proud Boys rally. I'm going to criticize the Post and Courier. I'm going to criticize the Post and Courier for their lack of diversity in their newsrooms. I'm going to criticize the Post and Courier for continuously engaging in the practice of luxuriating in Black death, the horrors of Black death, luxuriating in Black travesty, trauma, and all of that, right? I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to continue to critique all of their really award-winning pieces and all of that. I'm also going to do this. I'm going to acknowledge that, no, I don't think I'm trying to, I acknowledge that they have been doing some thorough reporting on the flooding in Charleston. But what's also important, y'all, what's very important is that while the reporting is thorough, while the reporting is something that you should trust in terms of how they're at least talking about flooding, you'll get a grasp of the issues. What it doesn't do, even though they've introduced this whole wealth gap thing, that they're trying to act as if they actually care about, like how the flooding issue intersects with other issues involving oppression. Even though they're kind of slow to the table with that. One thing they don't do that groups like Friends of Gadsden Creek does is we make sure we introduce a different perspective, and we talk about what is actually going on in terms of what's at play here, which is environmental racism. We name the thing, we name the harm. You've heard me talk about this multiple times this week, and I think that's very important, to not just tell me that Charleston's wet, right? Don't just tell me Charleston is wet and that, oh yeah, poor people are going to be wetter than other people, right? Don't do that. Tell me how we got here. Tell me who were the principals involved, right? Tell me what opposition looks like. Don't just report on the folks that don't just report on like the Dutch dialogues and in the sexy aspects of the flooding story. Talk about the opposition, and that's one thing that we've been encouraged. I'm going to speak for the collective in looking through the archive and finding opposition in real time to almost every major policy change that led to the displacement of Black people or the disenfranchisement of Black and brown people. I was so thrilled to see opposition in real time by the folks by the stakeholders, by the residents of Charleston at that time. And I think we're trying to walk and continue that tradition of, hey, we're dissenting right now. And to that point, before we get to pull up justice, and to that point, oh, we got a link tree now. Oh, we cute. DM for donations. Look, we got a link tree now. Okay. And one up there. So I'm gonna encourage you all to go back to the website. I'm gonna hit up in the chat. I'm gonna check out the chat in a second. Go back to the website, and I want you. Well, here's where you also hit the press tab, right? So you'll get access to, if you're not on Instagram, right? You can go to friendsofgadsdencreek.com, hit the press tab up top on the right. Click here, click or tap here to gain access. You can hit it's a read on link right here, right? And you'll see all of our recent press and all of our press, right, that we've gotten since we've really been trying to get this thing moving. But I want you to click on this article here. I'm not going to read it online. But what it does do, and Seb lifted this up, it includes our opposition. I'm actually going to see if I can find our opposition, right? If we're quoted, I don't know if Cyrus was quoted in here or someone else, but basically, Charleston's West Edge project edges toward $12 to $15 million drainage work phase. Again, the West Edge Foundation is a development. They're developers. They're not environmentalists. They're not a warm and fuzzy nonprofit that was designed to provide flood mitigation solutions. That's not what it is. That's what they've been so skillful and effective at marketing themselves as, but that's not what they are, right? As part of his stormwater master plan, as if with all their faux science, y'all should see some of the egregious practices they engage in to that informs these master plans of theirs. They got master right. I'm talking about slave owner. Got master right. All right, let me see if I can find Friends of Gadsden Creek's input on this, because that's really what I care about the most. Not Michael Mayhill or Hare, whatever his name is. Let me see. Okay. Environmental groups have not come out against filling the tidal stream. It's not a tidal stream, it's a creek, or capping the site. They said the old landfill on the property that was used from the 1950s, 1970s, we've already outlined that, was unlined and is filled with toxins that need to be contained. That's not completely true. This is so weird. It's no more the Gadsden Creek is no more toxic than Ashley River. Let me see where Oh my God, where is it? Is it just this part underneath? This caption in here? Plans to enclose Gadsden Creek in the peninsula, opposed by activist group called the Friends of Gadsden Creek. Okay. Anyway, check this out. Stay abreast with the issue. Make sure you check out the blog post from Seb and Brian here to really get a grasp on the issues right here. All right. That's my call to action for this morning. I'm going to close this out right there. I didn't read that whole article as you all both just as you all saw. I was reading it in real time. All right. Good morning, Anna Marks. How are you on Facebook? All right, let me head over back to the chat and see what's going on. New to you. Oh, you talking about the sirens? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hopefully y'all can get a nap today. I'm actually looking forward to a nap today as well. All right. So I'm going to close that out and let's get to it. Pull up justice. So what I wanted to talk about with pull up justice is I want to look at the news cycle. I want to look at what happened in Mount Laurel. And then I want to talk about other instances where we've seen similar actions, similar actions led by community and led by grassroots leaders and whatnot. But let me see where I want to start. I actually want to start with local news update regarding, let's see if we can get something regarding let's see if we can get an Elsa update real quick. Let's see, we get and then we'll transition into pull up justice. All right. WCBD. Last time I checked, right before I came on, it didn't have a new news clip, but I wanted to just play this. Yeah, here we go. I kind of knew it's 4 hours ago. Let's play it.
Exactly. So we're looking at Bennett's Point. We're looking at Fenwick. It looks like you're still in that warning as well. Over to Chisholm, Hickory Hill. There's an area that we've got to be concerned about as we head up towards Whitehall. And this is all, again, moving to the northwest at about 50 miles an hour. So it's a very, very fast system. So if you're watching us tonight in this warned area, what I want you to do right now is get to your safe place. If you live in a two-story...
So this was during the night. We all were hearing all those sirens and whatnot. I wanted to just get a clip. Basically, you know what? That's why I had Twitter open. So basically, all of those alerts pretty much so freaking large. All right, here we go. All of the alerts seem to have expired. Here's Thomas Novelli from the Post and Courier. Good morning, y'all. When did he tweet this? 7:25 a.m. So just before I went live. All right. So Thomas Novelli tweeted this. Good morning, y'all. I'm up this morning to report on Tropical Storm Elsa's effects on Low Country. We're already seeing large numbers of power outages. That's the one thing. There's a lot of people without power this morning. I saw that, I think, in the 15,000s, right? Look, the Elsa's effects on Low Country, we're seeing a large number of power outages and road closures due to flooding in the Charleston area. Follow this thread. I won't, but what I will do is continue to follow Charleston Weather, our local weather service, and other reporters. So this is that's in Connecticut. It's in Connecticut. Did that? Oh wow. Okay. Somebody just drove into a tree. All right. Yeah. So all of the alerts have expired. I don't even see it on my feed anymore. And like this morning I woke up, I just saw weather. So I don't see it on my feed as much. So the alerts have been expired. We're good. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's go and check out the Mount Laurel story, and then we're going to tie it to local story. We're also going to do an update on policing. Shout out to Vice News again, another Vice News clip, because there was a story that I didn't even know. This was posted in late May, featuring Faden Santana, and it's all about the consequences of recording the police, and it coincides with the pull-up justice, right? I want to say this. I want to preface this clip that I'm about to play. Any content that I'm about to play from Mount Laurel, some of it is from the NBC 10 Philadelphia news affiliate, and so that is pretty safe. But there's other footage and other material that includes graphic language. You're going to hear racial epithets. You're going to hear just the most egregious and violent language. And I just want to say content warning, trigger warning, if you hear any type of racial slurs or anything like that. All right, so let's just try to get, I kind of don't want to play it unedited. Let me go to nj.com and play this clip first. I didn't want to add it to the queue. Close player. I want to play it. So this nj.com. Y'all, this look familiar? I swear when I saw this, I thought they were back in Colombia. Now look at this, Edward Cagney Matthews, right? Look at that, middle name Cagney. Spitting on a victim. Crowds of protesters cheered and yelled as he was escorted away. Now I want to highlight this too. So some even threw water and juice bottles, which we definitely see that here. And I'm not trying to say that they didn't, but just keep your eye on that emphasis on, you know, that part. Okay. So yeah, NJ.com trying to get their what you call it, they're now this on in terms of like graphic videos with graphics, right? All right, so this is the part that's really a little bit more, this is unfiltered. Explicit language. Explicit language, y'all. Use of the N-word, use of other type of slurs and derogatory phrases, use of the word monkey to denigrate this black man on at this property. Just trigger warning.
Touch him! Touch him! Touch him, Pito! Put your hands on me again. Touch him!
See how he created the altercation, was chest bumping, and then when the man tries to create space between himself and that man, he's trying to bait him into an altercation. I want to say this too, and I mentioned this before when we talked about how KKK Corey, who brought the Proud Boys to Charleston, and Tyler Bessinger, who also brought the Proud Boys to Charleston and organized with the Proud Boys. I want you to understand, like in that car, that clown car Kia, that's outfitted and all the flags and all that. That's why they designed the car that way. That's why they keep going downtown. That's why they go to Folly Beach and to the Battery. They're trying to provoke people into confrontations. Part of it is that Corey and Tyler, both being white supremacists who are prone to violence, part of it is that they are trying to prove to the Proud Boys that they're just as viable as other Proud Boy, I don't know, but they got chains like a fucking McDonald's. I don't know how you characterize it, but they're trying to prove that they're just as aggressive and just as violent, right? So they need to do that by creating confrontation, because y'all know town, for all intents and purposes, people enjoy themselves here. This is a tourist area predominantly, so that impacts the way people engage with their government. That impacts the way people engage with really tough issues, and so Corey and Tyler both being, again, white supremacists, and I'm doing that for effect. If that's annoying, it's not supposed to annoy you, but I want to keep underscoring that they are white supremacists prone to violence, because people don't seem to think that they are. But they're driving around that car. They're trying to bring the confrontation to the people, and that's what you see here. And we don't know what transpired shortly. Well, we know a little bit what transpired before the video, because we know this guy has a history of violence, right? So much so when the police arrives, the police officer calls him by his middle name. So the police officer either has a personal or intimate relationship with this guy, or they know him from constant police calls, which other neighbors have said. But this guy is trying to create the altercation to justify any violence that he can then enact on this man. So he's chest bumping. He's going up to the step. He's yelling. He won't leave because if you were aggrieved and all that, that's not your home. Your home is somewhere else. But you're staying there trying to agitate. I want y'all to understand that this is how these white supremacists. This is something that they teach and they are trained to do, to continue to create the provocation, right? Create the provocation. Try to do it in a way that's somewhat passive, like ride around in a car with the calling Democrats the R word. Ride around in a car that has a sound system. Call a black woman a triggered bitch over the sound system. Call those kids, those Palmetto Rose bearers, call them a name over the sound system. Cause the provocation, and they think that like folks aren't really triggered. We're looking at you. Even people who are probably aligned with Corey's politics, from what I've observed in Charleston, is that most people who tend to agree with Trump and who tend to really embrace his ideology and embrace Trump's hate speech. Here in Charleston, they like to be a little polite with it, and we've seen that throughout history. They like to be polite with it. They don't really like to be overtly racist. They like to be racist in terms of policy. They like to be racist in terms of the, but the wielding the power that they do have over either, over certain systems and whatnot. And whatever influence they have, they like to weaponize their right-wing ideology that way. So Tyler and Corey are kind of outsiders in large part. Now, they've been normalized and embraced by GOP operatives like Maurice Washington, right? Who took a picture with them and who also penned op-eds in defense of Harry Griffin, another Proud Boy rally coordinator. So they've been embraced, and we've seen that even with Trump. Trump was embraced. Trump is a son of a Klansman and a whole white supremacist on his own, and he was embraced. He's been embraced by the GOP establishment, so much so that you have a Tim Scott last week coming to North Charleston, area that's arguably, if not predominantly black, largely black, coming to North Charleston and opining about the good old days when Trump was in office, right? So they've in essence embraced hate speech and white nationalist rhetoric. And so it's been normalized, but it ain't been normalized that much, because even Tim Scott won't go too far, right? He won't go that far. And so, but you're seeing this really ramp it up. You got to ramp it up, because they shot their shot on January 6th and they threw a brick, they shot a brick. They took an L and they didn't maximize. They weren't effective in carrying out. Now they were effective in killing people, including their own, people dying of heart attacks and all that other stuff. They were effective in killing police officers and stuff like that and getting themselves killed, but they really weren't effective in terms of turning the tide and claiming that much power, at least over like the legislative branch or over all of government like they wanted to, like kidnapping governors and trying to hang Mike Pence and all that other stuff. They weren't effective in carrying out their brand of white supremacist justice. And so they're grasping at straws, and they have to create the provocation. And that's what we have here. I just really want y'all to see that. And if you think I'm that's a stretch, please drop it in the chat. Drop it in the chat. And let me know, I think I see a different way. I would love to hear it. But you can tell by how Tyler and other white supremacists, they keep reinventing themselves. They keep trying. They just keep attacking. And now they're not even afraid to attack kids now. Like, they're not afraid to just attack anybody, because they're trying to cause the provocation. And what they don't understand, as it pertains to pull-up justice, what they don't understand is that people are only going to take but so much. You keep doing stuff like this, people are going to start, just regular folk. Again, this is why Dylan Roof did not go to North Charleston. He said it in his manifesto. I alone am not equipped to take this to the ghetto. That's where they want to go, but they can't. And I would argue some of these black male conservatives, that's their bridge to the ghetto. That's their bridge to the hood. Is through these relationships they forge with black lawmakers and black conservatives and black MAGA. That's their connection point. And so that's why it's important to call out the black men who've been complicit and say, oh, well, it's just right wing. No, it's not. It's hate speech. Demanding that our first black president present a birth certificate is racist. Continuously asserting that he's from Kenya is racist. Calling his wife, likening his wife to a primate is racist. Not allowing black people to rent in your buildings is racist. This is Trump, right? There's not a code. It's not a cogent political point of view, and so you're seeing people trying to like just cause these provocations. And Evelyn, I see you in the chat. Good morning, and I'm gonna read your thing in a sec. But you see people causing these provocations. I really want y'all to understand that this is deliberate. These are not just here goes Corey again, here goes Tyler again. Just because yes, they do take L's. They get dunked on by Moya. They get sued into oblivion like Tyler did, right? But they keep reinventing themselves, and they need a bridge. And that's why it's important for black men who are conservative. Be conservative. Be conservative. Don't help right-wing extremists. Don't help terrorists gain access to those vulnerable populations. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't create that connection. Don't create that connection between white supremacists. Like, don't do it. I know that sounds a little wild, but please, I don't know. It irks me because no one is addressing that. That Dylan Roof did not want that smoke, and now we're like, yo, I'm gonna bring you to the hood. I'm gonna start this community center and now give you access to it, white nationalists. I'm gonna give you access to this community center. I'm gonna lift up Harry Griffin and his father as philanthropists when they're not. They're hate mongers and fear mongers. Harry Griffin is constantly showing to be ill-equipped. And a person who employs really poor judgment, but yet we keep lifting him up. We keep lifting him up. We meaning black conservatives, not me. All right.
Twice. Talk to him. Twice. Talk to him. And his name is Brandon.
Someone is gonna take that bait, Nicole. You hear this nasty language? Trigger warning.
Yo,
you want to know why I'm going after him?
I don't care. I don't give a shit.
So why are you here?
I don't give a shit.
So why are you here?
I don't give a shit.
Then get the fuck out of here then.
I don't give a shit.
Look at
Put your hands
him
over me one more time.
challenging his existence.
Hold on. Camera's right there.
I know, right there.
That's right there. The rolling jerseys, back up.
Go close.
Back up. Keep backing up.
Look at that.
Back up.
Don't touch me.
Keep backing up.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Vito, don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Is he spitting on him?
Don't touch me.
Nigger.
Fucking bastard.
That's right.
Yeah.
My parents are both dead.
Yeah,
You're
what
right.
the fuck? My parents are both dead too.
And what are you going to do?
Oh my God. They just like nonsensical. It's not even worth watching. So you saw, but I wanted y'all to get a taste of how violent the language is, right? Use all the classic tropes, right? So then we saw the folks. I wanted to get the NBC 2. Let me see if I got it up here. Yeah, NBC 10 in Philly.
Racist. Looking at that video.
Let me rewind this. Now I think they give him a little airtime, and typically I don't like that, but we're gonna listen to it today. Okay, so let's go.
Jim, he tells us tonight that he maintains he is not a racist, but more on that in a little bit tonight.
They
it's
always say they're
more
not
peaceful
racist.
Here, thankfully, in this neighborhood in Mount Laurel, but just for some perspective, this all started with a viral video where a man said racist things to his neighbor, but that man also said his address in that video.
That's the funny part.
And said, "Come mess with me." Well, protesters came. This was how Cagney
Nobody would have ever came to the doorstep had you not given your address, dude.
Matthews' day ended, carried out of his home by Mount Laurel police officers as protesters pelted him with anything they could get a hand on. But this was not how the day began. This morning, protesters gathered on Matthews' lawn, enraged over multiple social media videos intended to be shared that went viral.
Keep backing up. Back up.
Don't touch me.
Keep backing up.
Don't touch me.
In this one, you could hear Matthew repeatedly hurl racial slurs at a black neighbor. Folks in the community say it was a pattern.
People out here because they're angry. People saw the video. They saw another incident where someone felt they can say the most horrible thing you can say to a black person, and there would be no.
Yeah, I just want to say the name Brett Bursey. That's why that word cannot be coming out of a white person's mouth, especially while instructing black people in the South, in the Black Belt. Brett Bursey. Yeah, words are powerful, as your little lackluster milquetoast statement said. You can't use that word, bruh. You can't. I don't care what old school, old black civil rights leader told you could use that word. We're not letting you have it. Us geriatric millennials and Gen Zers are not letting you have it. Nah.
No repercussions.
I have no right to speak to anybody using the words that I did. It was wrong.
We got a chance to speak with Matthews about an hour before he was ultimately taken into custody. He told me he lost his composure, he regrets his words, and maintains he's not a racist. Looking at that video, many of the things that you said were pretty ugly racial slurs.
I did not mean this. It was a lapse of judgment at a moment at my weakest point, and my anger got the best of me.
All right, we talked about non-apologies yesterday. Let me hit back to the chat. Evelyn, you said earlier, very similar to the tactics of the Westboro Baptist Church. Say it again, Evelyn. Westboro Baptist Church, right? And like those folks who come outside of who are outside of the, oh my God, Westboro is the mess. Westboro used to have me stressed out because I could not understand that. I could not understand those tactics. That's a good one. But Westboro and folks who are against abortion is one to Planned Parenthood facilities. People like me who might have been going in there to get birth control or health care in general, or providing comfort to a friend who has to receive services, right? Like that confrontation. And they're trying to provoke. And that's why I tell y'all, when y'all see stuff like this, don't call the police. Call the news. Call the news station. Start tagging them on Twitter. Start hitting them up, filming it. Tag them. Tell them what's going on. That's how you get the attention. Don't call the Post and Courier because they ain't gonna cover it. But like in real time, they're not gonna cover it. But call the cable, not cable news. Call the local television news outlets. Call them. Don't call the police. I mean, call the police I'm not crazy, right? Like if you feel like there's some sort of craziness going on. But I'm saying I prefer that you call the news and expose it. Expose it. All right. So that's what happened. You hear him saying he's not racist. You know what? I can drink. I've been inebriated. I've been under the influence of alcohol at one point, right, in my life. And no matter how, and I don't get drunk, I don't. But no matter how, let's say, gone I have been, I could never reach down inside me and pull out racial slurs. Like, that's not in me. I'm not saying I'm not capable of saying something offensive. Of course I am. I have been, and I'm sure I'll say something offensive. But that racism or not that bigotry, that ain't in me. That ain't in me. And so for you to say, oh, I'm not racist, well, where'd that come from? Where all that monkey, go back to Africa, N-word, where'd that come from? That was so accessible. He wasn't even reaching for it. It was just right there on the tip of his tongue. So, miss me with that. I'm not racist. You are very much racist. You are textbook racist. All right, so we saw the African-American community, and it was, there's some vanilla chips in there, mixed in with the chocolate. You saw people who were just and this guy had a long history of harassing his neighbors, like a long, extensive history. And so you saw people just they were fed up. So it also reminds me of course, let's get to some older things. It reminds me of this incident.
I come to you today that you don't deserve to serve another second in the United States Army.
Yes. Columbia.
You took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, of enemies, foreign and domestic. You took an oath.
Let's do this.
You are supposed to have service before self.
So this is a veteran, I'm assuming. That's very strong.
Are supposed to defend this country. You are supposed to have excellence in all that you do.
While I'm not the biggest rah-rah military, yeah, I'm not that girl, I'm gonna say this. I'm all for this. This is what accountability looks like. So if you are a part of the armed services and you're active duty, or if you're a veteran, right, retired or whatever, this is what accountability should look like. Especially in the military, when we've got things running rampant like sexual assault and other types of really, really, really egregious things happening, racist things happening within the military that's systemic, right? Widespread. So this is what accountability looks like. Your peers checking you. Your peers reminding you of your oath, that you're duty bound to not engage in this type of behavior. This is what accountability looks like. For anybody we also, y'all know from the soft target live stream that I did about how Corey and Tyler Bessinger, 2 white supremacists who coordinated with the Proud Boys and brought the Proud Boys to Charleston. Y'all remember during that live stream, I talked about how Corey, because shout out to Erica Coakley, Corey has constantly been talking about Erica sharing the meme of if Come Outside was a person based on this event that transpired in Columbia 2 months ago. Well, Corey is trying to also make the argument that this is wrong, that this is, that all these black people were trying to come into the house and break into the house and trying to harm the family that resided in the home. And so they're trying to mischaracterize what we've seen. This is justice. This is accountability. This is 100% organic. There was no organizing effort outside of what maybe took place once the folks started showing up in mass. But this is organic. This is the will of the people. And this is something that Corey and Tyler and other white nationalists here, they're envious of, because they can't get all of the hateful racists that pay them, that give them information, that subsidize their efforts, that accompanying them to the insurrection. They can't get them to show up like this. They can't get them to show up like this, like that. They can't get it. They have to call in Proud Boys from other states. They have to call in the Lightfoot militia. They can't do it here. It's not homegrown. It ain't rooted here. And they're so that's why I think that they continuously bring this up to Erica. It's like, look, Erica's supporting violence against. She wasn't supporting violence against. The man was caught on tape assaulting a black. It's so crazy how like this cognitive dissonance bullshit they do, or whatever the fuck they're doing in their mind, where they literally see a white soldier towering over a black person who's walking through the neighborhood unarmed, right? They see this man pushing this other gentleman, and they know it's wrong. The guy was subsequently arrested, and they still want to blame Erica for celebrating this action from residents who literally live in that area. And that because they're jealous. They wish they can get that. But don't nobody want to stick their neck out with. No. That's what y'all are snakes. Y'all want soft targets. That's why y'all go to the Battery and to the tourism district. You want soft targets. You're not built for this. You're not built for hundreds of people. You're not built that way. Nobody wants to get on. Y'all are weak cowards. And so it's just that I just brought it up because it's so crazy how they keep circulating that meme of Erica. And I'm like, y'all just jealous because y'all don't have that ability. Y'all have to outsource. You have to outsource your white supremacy because you ain't got the reach. You don't got the range. You don't got the pull. Y'all are jokes. Y'all keep getting dunked on TV. And then there's no honor among thieves. So y'all keep recording each other and outing each other and doing backbiting and all this other stuff. Like, that ain't gonna build loyalty. That's y'all building something else. So remember this now. This is back. So that was Columbia, South Carolina. So we went to Mount Laurel, Columbia, South Carolina. Let's bring it to Elizabeth City.
For the first time since Andrew Brown was shot 10 days ago, protesters did not march in Elizabeth City tonight.
Look at that.
Instead, they showed their support for the family by camping out in front of the Pasquotank County Sheriff's Office.
Remember when I had my girl Danielle Brown on from Black Voters Matter, North Carolina, and she said that they bought up like what they feel like was every single lawn chair from every Walmart within a certain radius, and this is what they did.
It comes after city leaders pushed back the 8 o'clock curfew. Thanks for staying up. I'm David Allen.
And I'm Nicole Livas.
So while this is not at someone's doorstep, this is not at someone's residence, folks pulled up and they pulled a chair up at that. Right? Let me read the chat real quick. Evelyn, you said this is exactly what you were thinking. The apology when he's like, I was drunk, the alcohol made me do it. Absolutely. Non-apology. Either, I'm not racist. I was drunk. I've never been drunk. I've never been high and said crazy stuff. Never. And then Nicole, you said yes, and military has ramifications that aren't available in civilian life too. Absolutely.
Protesters can now stay out until midnight, but they have to get a permit first. Eugene Daniel is back there tonight, where a council member says he's proud of the way his community has handled this situation.
Protests for Andrew Brown Jr. looked different Friday. People traded their marching shoes for lawn chairs and camped in front of the Pasquotank County Sheriff's Office.
No one said this is going to be an easy journey, but we're prepared. We're going to be here the long term.
This is the 10th day of demonstrations and the first since the city required permits to protest and push the curfew to midnight. More than a dozen people had been arrested for staying out past the original curfew of 8 p.m.
And I think even pushing it back where the tension was even going higher.
Is that a grill?
You'll see it de-escalating even now because the citizens even know now, man, they trust us a little bit more.
That's my type of pull up. That's a smoker? Oh man, grill rat, yeah. Hey, he got an apron on. Jesus, that's my type of justice.
Councilman Kim Spence is not just out here, he's lighting up the grill, standing with his community.
He's the councilman.
He's proud of his people for staying peaceful, though they are hurting.
Man, I'm forever.
Them. Because we'll turn this shit into a fucking a cookout, like not in a way that's like that undermines the overall intention of the action. But this is who we are as Black people. We're communal. We are community centered. It's not so much that we're turning it into a party as much as we're trying to provide safe spaces for folks to mount protests and be very creative in that protest and creative in a way. Well, okay, you enacted this ordinance to stop us from challenging these laws, but we're going to show up in other ways. How adaptable and boldly resilient is that, right? And that's like we don't give progressive organizers enough credit for their creativity, especially Black organizers, Black grassroots organizers. We don't give them enough credit. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to applaud the efforts of Elizabeth City. I'm going to applaud the efforts of those in Columbia. I know these things happened months ago, and I'm going to applaud the efforts of those in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, because that pull-up justice does work. It does work. And for those who are saying, oh, someone threw something through the window of the man in New Jersey. Yeah, I saw that. Is that something I would do? No. Do I understand it? Yep. That man's been terrorizing that neighborhood for a substantial amount of time. There's another tape that surfaced featuring not his face, but at least his forearm, where it looks like the same tattoos were on his arm. Well, he's been belligerent, and he's been racist and very violent. And again, we got to stop thinking that violence is only fist to face. Violence is only when you draw blood and you inflict. No, violence can be language. What Brett Bursey did during his facilitation, it was violent. The use of those epithets are violent. The use of racial slurs are violent. So I'm not like, it's like when they want to talk about what took place in Charleston. Oh, the broken glass. How about the broken promises? How about the tear gas on unarmed children? Kids, young students, right? The Taylors and the Brendans out there. Okay. Tear gassing students, unarmed students, right? That's violence. I don't want to hear about the broken glass. Again, is that what I would have? And that's not part of my organizational arsenal. No, that's not my go-to move. But I understand why somebody threw something at his house. I understand. AF, especially if you've been spat on and called an N-word and a monkey. Yeah, I understand. Not condoning, but I understand. All right, let me see right here. KCJ18, he said, we don't have to leave. We have food here. Exactly. Right. And that's the thing. Like when you bring the food and the grill there, like people staying. People going to be there for a minute. Right. Hey, good morning, Jessica. Jessica, you said you love it. Definitely passes the vibe check. Yes, it is. Right. And like that's why I'm so proud of people. Like protests can look like so many things. Okay, I want to take a little a turn because I want to talk about policing again. The stream, when I tease out the stream on across Twitter and Facebook, is pull up justice and an update on local policing. There were two stories that broke a few days ago that caught my attention. One was this Moncks Corner police chief story, and then this Mount Pleasant PD story. I'm starting to see a trend here in local policing that is concerning. But also too, there was this story. I just came across this on the ABC News 4 YouTube page. I want to say this: ABC News 4 is a Sinclair station, right? So we know that it's complicated. While they are a Sinclair station, I know I've used their clips, especially around the Jamal Sutherland story. But this right here, I want to, this is, to me, was heartbreaking to see them take this. Now, they did turn into a news story that was edited and had details and whatnot. But this right here is very, very dangerous, what they did here, involving the police and Palmetto Rose Artisans in downtown Charleston. But let's do this Mount Pleasant story, and then we'll get to it.
Brought you first. Moncks Corner's police chief is back on the job after serving a 2-week suspension related to an investigation of a sexual assault allegation against a school resource officer. News 2's Riley Benson joins us live from the Moncks Corner Municipal Building. And Riley, officials confirmed Rick Olick's return to you earlier today.
Yes, Sophia, the captain who had been leading the department in Chief Olick's absence confirmed that Chief Olick did in fact return to the department earlier today. Now, I asked to speak with Chief Olick, but he declined to comment on his suspension or his status with the department.
I wonder why.
Moncks Corner Police Chief Rick Olick under the microscope since early June when one of his officers was accused of having sex with a teenager.
A 51-year-old man, security officer at Berkeley High School, was involved with my 15-year-old stepdaughter.
Residents and community members calling for answers.
That's crazy.
They say this isn't the first time they question the chief's ability to lead.
Got to keep cops out of schools. Cops do not belong in schools. Cops do not belong in schools with these children. Jessica, you just dropped in the Twitch chat, law enforcement leadership down here is so damn problematic. I'm telling you, like, and like from the Warrior Cop book to the reporting from Radley Balco to John Oliver's coverage of our sheriff's departments on multiple shows that he's aired on HBO. Like, the people are starting to, like, Greenville has written, folks are starting to see how abysmal law enforcement is. The Murdaugh, like, or Murdoch, I know I don't say the name of that family right, and I don't really care about saying it right, but even that Murdaugh murder story is ridiculous. How law enforcement is allowed to move like this. The Jamal Sutherland thing is the tip of the iceberg. Sadly enough, that's just the stuff we can really see and put our can see and point to directly. It's crazy how even if you're a proponent of law enforcement, right, a really strong proponent, you gotta be like just in disbelief when these stories break.
Smoke, there's a fire. We got a problem here. We got a problem with secrets here. I want to know, why was Rick Olick suspended? I have a right to know as a citizen.
Vicky Hall says she's just one of several who feel Olick's leadership fell short. Her daughter and grandchildren killed in 2008.
Oh, wow.
Hall says Olick brushed the case off as a suicide.
You didn't care enough to do a proper investigation. What do you all think he cares about up here in Moncks Corner? If he didn't care about that situation, I know some of his colleagues, they say if his mouth is open, he's lying. Is that who we want to be the chief of police for Moncks Corner? And I believe history is going to keep repeating itself.
It will. All right, let's hop over to this Mount Pleasant story. That's sad. I didn't even know about that Moncks Corner chief of police suspension. So let's keep our eye on that moving forward. And then this part right here. Yeah.
And now for a story you'll only see on 2. The Mount Pleasant Police Department working to tackle mental health in the area with a new program. News 2's Katie Augustine got an inside look at what the department is doing to increase resources, for those in need.
We don't need y'all in schools. We don't need you to be counselors. We don't need you to be camp counselors. We don't need you to be social workers. Y'all, please stop it. Tell us how you linking up with these agencies. Tell us how you linking up with qualified professionals. All y'all been giving us is that we're going to team up with Chick-fil-A and like
using police officers to
and remember James Britt. Remember MP, like Mount Pleasant PD. Remember they got blood on their hands too, most notably James Britt.
Connect people with mental illness to the resources they need. The leader of Mount Pleasant Police's new mental health team is hoping to break the cycle of repeat offenders.
Before I even play this even more, shout out Evelyn. You peeped this before too with the when they released the redacted, edited, and narrated video around the Jason Cooper shooting. You saw how they had the female police officer at the fore. We've seen that. I've seen this even before I got super duper engaged with holding the police accountable here in Charleston. I've seen it at events and rallies and town halls where they make sure to trot out, and I'm only using queer here because the officers themselves publicly describe themselves as queer. So they would trot out queer female officers to be the face of change, reform, initiatives, all of that. That's a concerted effort. So we're going to see the same moves used here.
Mount Pleasant PD working to set a new standard for law enforcement when responding to mental health calls.
So what we're looking to do is to make it a lot easier for people to get connected with non-police services.
The department has a new mental health team.
Why?
Once it's up and running, officers will focus on the follow-up, making sure people are getting the help they need from local organizations that help with things like homelessness and opioid addiction.
Being able to have people that are available to go help people with things like if they don't have transportation, getting to doctor's appointments, or if they are not necessarily someone that's good at being able to keep track of things like, hey, you got a doctor's appointment or you need...
I don't want y'all doing that. Y'all got guns. Nicole, you says, how do people not think this is a police state? Right. KCJ 18, you say white... I guess white lesbians can be seen as the new face of diversity and inclusion. And yeah, absolutely, I think that's the thing. So they are checking off a box, right? So okay, female, check. Okay, if they identify as queer, check. Right? That's what you can't ignore that because they continuously, again, with Charleston PD, tell us that these officers identify as such, right? That's one. And then they continue to me, trot out the same, and I am not trying to be disrespectful, but they have a similar look. Like when Wendy Shriver was recruited from, I believe, Ohio. Wendy Shriver got on screen. I thought that was another officer. I confused Wendy with Officer Cherry, I think it is, the female officer. And I'm like, oh, no, that's not them. That's Wendy Shriver. Like before I knew who Wendy was by name. And I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, short hair, tattoo sleeve of tattoos, white, just, and I don't know how Wendy identifies, but there's an aesthetic. There's an aesthetic, like, and to me, that's part of the propaganda. That's part of the PR campaign. It's like, look, we're diverse. We've got this identity here at the forefront of our messaging, right? Saint Fasad, good morning, Saint Fasad. You said that sounds like what social services should provide. Absolutely, right? Not that social services are much better under police state. No, like it's just something that they shouldn't be doing. You got guns, trying to do everything. You've got guns. So Evelyn said, so this is still police, even though they're saying it's not. It's police, right? I don't know why more cops don't come out and say, we're proponents of these other services being led by qualified professionals. I don't know why more cops don't say that. I know that would be going against the grain, but that's what Mount Pleasant PD is up to. All right, so I want to go to this this right here, and then we're gonna get to the Faith and Santana piece from Vice News. This was heartbreaking. This was tough for me to watch. This was just as tough for me to watch as the Mount Laurel incident, probably even more so, because of what's being said and what's being mischaracterized in the clip. I'm gonna pause it real quick and rewind it. Now, I wanna say this. I'm not gonna sit. I'm gonna say this. I'm not gonna ever sit up in front of this camera or any camera I got and say that the Palmetto Rose bearers I'm not gonna ever say that they are I'm not gonna ever say that these kids are criminals. I'm not gonna ever say that these kids don't have a space, don't belong downtown. I'm not gonna ever say that. These kids need to be embraced. They're not embraced by their city. They're not embraced by their school systems. They're not embraced by their local leadership. They aren't. And when you're not embraced, things can get off track very easily. When you don't have the proper support, when your city is overtly hostile to you, When you're just trying to figure things out as a young kid, and you live in a city, especially a city like Charleston, that has such a deep, profound history with anti-Black racism and white supremacy, and how that city sells that, literally traffics that within those market that you see right there behind this gentleman. I don't ever want to justify if kids do something that causes anyone else's harm. I don't ever want to justify that. I'm never going to do that. But what I'm not going to do, also what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to sit here and act like there's not an underlying issue there that may have led to this outcome, right? This ongoing hostility that's being stoked by news outlets who put this on YouTube with limited context. Yes, they followed it up with a piece that was edited, but this right here is an issue. So it says confrontation between Charleston City Market vendor and kids selling palmetto roses outside. Now, of the kids being knuckleheads, probably. Okay, kids are knuckleheads. I'm not gonna get too crazy with this. But I am very disappointed at this gentleman right here. I'm very disappointed. I understand your frustration, bruh. I understand your frustration, but this is not the way. This is not the way. You got to think bigger picture when you bring in other voices to document what's going on or to air a grievance. You have to look at the bigger picture, what the implications could be for the community at large. So you think you're just frustrated with these little Black kids selling these palmetto roses. You don't understand. And people like this don't understand, and how quickly it can grow into, oh, all Black people need to be policed and put into one area, and that's it. We're just going to put all the Black people in one. We saw that after the Denmark VC uprising. I know y'all think it's a stretch, but so Denmark VC's the uprising was undid by the freed Black men and women of Charleston. Those were the folks that you would call mulatto, you would call, biracial. They were lighter skin, right? Those are some of the people who told on Denmark VC. And they did that because they worked hard to create separation between them and other Black people, either those who were enslaved or darker skinned Black people. They wanted to create distance and create a hierarchy where they were superior over Black folk. Right. And so they said, OK, we're going to dime out Denmark VC and let them know that, hey, we different. We're loyal. And what happened after that? Then they had to get trustees. Then their moves were restricted. Oh, you were lumped in there. You thought using the master's tool to dismantle the master's house, you thought that would work, but it backfired. And now you need a trustee. That means your land, your house could be taken if you don't have 1, 2, 3 white people signing off on, oh no, you good person, you good, you straight, their money straight. Oh no, they didn't steal that money in the bank. That's their wealth. So when we side with the oppressor, we've seen this in history, especially here in Charleston. When we side with the oppressor, thinking that, hey, we got some family business we need to take care of. These young rambunctious kids is out of hand, out of control. When we got family business, we need to make sure it stays in the family. But when you saddle up and side up with the oppressor, it's going to always backfire. Because you can't use the master's tools to dismantle the house. You cannot do it. You cannot use the oppressor's tactics to bring about the solution. And if your solution is, I want to ban this Black person and I want to be the only Black, or I want to be the kind of Black, that's always going to backfire on you. Because the oppressor is never going to be loyal. They're not going to take time and make the distinctions. Well, okay, well, this guy does this and this guy does that and she does it. They're different. They're not going to do that. Y'all all going to get lumped in. So I just wanted to preface that because this is kind of heartbreaking to see this.
As you can see right now, what y'all cuss the policemen out when they talk to them.
And that's
Giovanni just called and complained on them. Giovanni's complaining about them, and look what happens. Look what happens.
Listen to this.
Look what happens when the police comes. This is just a sample.
Thank God they blurred the kids' faces out.
See, you hear him? You hear him? I'm about to shoot.
No, he didn't say. He's talking about the camera. If you heard I don't know if y'all can hear, but the young man was like, y'all recording me? Y'all shooting me? Shooting with the camera. He did not allege that he was going to shoot at anyone. And for them to put this on YouTube, and I know I'm sharing it, but I have to call out the practice, right? But this is egregious. He's not saying shoot, I'll shoot you. Don't you think that cop would have been activated if somebody made a threat to pull out a firearm. These are kids with palms in their hands. He's not saying I'll shoot you. Like look, he says it when he comes closer.
Nope. Nobody wants to go through that every day they come to work.
What do you think? What do you think you're doing? Like, what do you think you're doing, bruh? God forbid you have a bad day and you do something and somebody mischaracterizes it as something else.
Giovanni.
Where y'all news at us? ABC News?
See, he's trying to protect himself.
You about to do something.
Yeah. See, she says it. We're shooting a news story. Shout out to the follow.
I ain't shooting no news story.
Shout out, Chris. Is that Pam's son? Shout out. Chris, what up? What up? Oh, hey, Quadra. I'm sorry I ignored the chat. Good morning, Joy Brown.
Come at me. Hello?
See, he's calling. See, he's calling.
Yep, just like last time.
He's either acting like he's calling his mom, but he's on the phone loudly saying, "Mama, these people are recording me," just like last time.
Somebody. Yeah. ABC News. 4.
It's basically the same thing. And he's the one that was swinging the meter butt hitting Elijah yesterday. He swinged the palmetto butt hitting my coworker yesterday while he was in his truck. That's the one. See,
I want to know if this guy is pointing to the belligerent drunk people that spill out of these bars and these restaurants. I wonder if you pointing and telling the news to capture that on camera, or you busy trying to police your own people. We never gonna get free if we do this mess. We never gonna get free if we do this mess. Never gonna get free.
They give nobody respect whatsoever, not even the policeman.
Why are you recording?
Right. Why are you recording? I guarantee you, if I came and I heard that man saying that, I would have went. I would have told that grown up man. I would have told him off and told him shame on you, and I would have told him to keep that on camera. Put that in your news package. They kids.
But if something happens.
Hey, you better get that camera away, please.
There you go. See, now you hear other people chiming in now. So think about the next young black boy who just looks, or black girl who looks like them, who might have a palmetto rose in their hand but is not them. Think about how they're going to be treated when they go in for a slice of pizza or they go in to buy something. Like, just think about that. Just think of if I brought my cousins to Charleston and they bought a palmetto rose and they looked like these boys, and then they went and we tried to enjoy ourselves. Imagine how we're going to be policed. Imagine how we're going to be treated. Right? Because Charleston needs a pathology. They need a specific pathology to perpetuate that, hey, there's this criminal element here among these kids. That's what the CVB needs to bolster their claims and to bolster their policy prescriptions, which now have led to restricting the movement of mobile vendors, which now has led to less vendors that look like perhaps vendors of color who serve the hot dogs and the hamburgers in the alleyways, right? So like they're using this to bolster their arguments. And I'm not going to play too much more of it. Joy, I see you on Facebook. Jessica, real quick on the Twitch chat, you say they are kids. They're kids. They're constantly getting kicked out, confronted. They're just trying to make an honest dollar. They're doing what we used to do, selling candy and stuff like that. I just, it's a kid. It's a child. And this is the adultification of black children, right? And they know. I want to commend the children because they also know that them being filmed is a problem. That's why their faces are being blurred. They don't want to be on camera. They are withdrawing consent, essentially. They are children. They also are telling you, I'm a kid. That boy called his mama, or at least pretended, or whatever he did. He called his mama. That's an act of self-defense. That's an act of harm reduction. So I want to applaud these kids for doing that because they know that this is not a proper practice. And they know that you're surveilling them and focusing the camera on them. Meanwhile, over there, Meanwhile, over here, you got the Thomas Ravenels running around, raping people, and out here just out enjoying and, going to Five Church and enjoying themselves over here in the French Quarter part of the market area, right? They're kids. Don't lose sight of that, the fact that they're children. Joy, you say frustrations from vendors is one thing, but perpetuating a war against kids, ? Absolutely, Joy. If they feel like there is an ongoing problem, why not engage with them instead? Exactly. Right? They're kids, period. He sees them as disrespectful because he's never gave them the respect in the first place. Ooh, same facade. Say it again. That guy sees them as disrespectful because he never gave them. Exactly. I'm a big proponent as you get what you give, right? And I know I've dealt with knuckleheads. I've been a mentor. I've been a mentor. I've been a big brother, big sister, mentor. I've done it in college. I've worked with some really tough people, some really tough young kids. Right? And it's a process. It's not just one and done. You don't just do one nice thing. It's a process. It's a culture you have to create that embraces these kids. You know the kind of kids they do embrace? The ones that's over there by the fountains doing them flips and all that. They embrace that. Jumping on cardboard and all that stuff, performing. They embrace that. Right? And I ain't gonna talk about how complicated that image is to me. Every time I see a bunch of tourists crowding around black kids doing flips and jumps and breakdancing, I ain't gonna tell you, like, that's very complicated to me. To just see that, like, that's embraced and not policed. But this is, yeah. All right. They have to survive in that city. Absolutely, a city that's pushing them out. Yeah, it's crazy. I wish I would be on camera pointing and clicking like, yeah, officers, them over there, and without any context. And then, so then we're gonna get to the Faye and Santana story.
ABC News 4.
And then over here, so then they have the 2-minute story after that.
A man at Charleston Market was telling our Caroline Balchunas about a problem with the so-called Rose kids. Caroline heard another incident and went to investigate. And that's when she says the boy started hurling insults and curse words at her and our photojournalist. It's a story you'll only see on ABC News.
Come on, y'all. Do better. Do better, News 4. Do better.
And Caroline, what happened and were the police called?
Well, Tessa, we witnessed firsthand what vendors have been complaining about for years, and police responded immediately, and we had our camera rolling the whole time.
Of course you did. These are children.
Charleston police say a basket weaver was assaulted on Saturday while working at his market stand.
Oh, time out. That's the other part. I almost forgot. That's the other part. So remember I mentioned the Denmark VC rebellion that was planned and how it was undermined by the freed black mulattoes of Charleston. I don't use that term loosely. I'm just, using historical terms in that context, right? And I'm black. I'm not Brett Bursey, so chill out, right? So the freed black people of Charleston, right? They were part of the factions that found out about Denmark VC's planned rebellion and chose to rat him out, right? And they were trying to separate themselves from those blacks. Like, we're create and reinforce this hierarchy that already existed based on how they look, their skin color, right? All right. So part of it was competition too. There was competition, economic competition. There has been a long going feud between the CVB authorized, the CVB anointed, embraced basket weavers that are placed strategically within this market area. Is an ongoing tension between them and the kids who don't have to, who have chosen to like, nah, we're not going to be permitted. We're not going to go through all that BS. We're not going to go through this arduous and arbitrary certification process. We're going to sell our wares just like our ancestors, our foremothers and forefathers sold their wares. We're not going through this rigmarole. And that tension has gotten, like, since in my lifetime, has just exploded. So part of this divide, this rift, is being fueled by the city and by the CVB, because they're making a distinction. You're legitimate, you're illegitimate. And once you've deemed a segment of your population, your residents, as illegitimate, tempers are going to flare and people are going to get upset. And so there's a competition element there as well between those vendors who are regulated by the CVB, regulated by the city, right? And those who aren't.
They say he was attacked by 3 juveniles aged 11, 12, and 14 years old. Detectives believe it started after a verbal confrontation with the kids who frequently peddle palmetto roses in that area. The victim says one of the kids knocked over some of his merchandise, and when he bent over to pick it up, he was jumped by all 3 and punched several times. The incident took place near Market and State Streets. Vendors like John Nelson say it's an ongoing problem.
Because they try to intimidate everybody. As you can see for yourself firsthand, respect for nobody because they feel untouchable.
During our interview, we witnessed a confrontation across the street when a business owner asked some kids selling roses outside his place
This is not
to leave.
Where are your parents? You asked them other kids that? Y'all, these are kids. These are kids causing mischief. This is not a news story. So y'all picking on kids. Got it, right. Same facade, right? You heard something similar happen to the basket weavers in Mount Pleasant. Something similar meaning what? Like the rose bearers up there too? Yeah, you poke. Right. Yeah, cussing and fussing. Okay. All right. I get the frustration. Like I'm not silly. I'm not trying to be disingenuous with my critique, but that's not helping, bruh. Mr. John Nelson, that's not helping. All right, just chill out. It's not a police matter. Why are we calling the police? You can't handle some kids? You can't handle no kids? You calling the police because you can't handle some kids? Let's round out today's live stream with this. Again, this was published May 29th. Totally went below the radar. Kind of makes sense now. Now I look at a lot of attention that Faden had received. Of course, deservedly so. He's opening an ambitious new business in North Charleston, and also, the anniversary of the Walter Scott murder at the hands of North Charleston police. The anniversary was around this time, and also, Faden had ascended to hold a leadership position with the local Democrats. So Faden got a lot of news coverage from WCIV, ABC News 4, the state newspaper, Post and Courier, and Vice News. And also Faden was included in a number of conversations in and around the Jamal Sutherland issue. I saw Faden at press conferences and whatnot. I did not engage with Faden, but understood that his presence was being requested. Because he holds his political position.
I haven't been here since 2015. It brings me back to a lot of memories.
Sorry, y'all. Sorry for that. Sorry about that. I should have said trigger warning. I forgot that clip was included. So sorry. It's devastating to watch that. No matter how many years have passed, it's really hard to watch Officer Slager murder Walter Scott on camera. It's very hard to watch. Sorry about that.
Multiple times, that man, running away from him. After that, my life, changed completely. It was just, a tragedy.
In the Alton Sterling situation, that night we kept getting a lot of traffic about the Triple S food store, and we just had someone just keep going by to see what they can catch.
So I didn't say the name of this. The title of this video is "The Consequences of Recording Police Killings," because Faden caught hell after he recorded Slager. Faden caught hell.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that a man just died, running away. He wasn't a threat, to the officer. And not only that, you can see the way the police is defending himself, putting himself as a victim.
He was lying.
And not saying the things, that really happened. So when you see the narrative, you want to do something. You want to really show the reality, to the family, to the community, to the nation, or what was going on that day.
We kind of pulled back on the video a little bit to try to see what the narrative was. And what we seen was definitely not what was being reported. We knew the repercussions of turning something like that over to the news media. So we wanted to just remain anonymous. Everybody that has turned in or is responsible for turning in footage that shows the police doing wrong has been harassed. You join a fraternity of individuals that you may not know personally, but you're all going through the same things.
I showed to my friends, and all of them say, oh man, you're in trouble. You just record an officer shooting a man in the back. That's when I realized, that my life also was in danger. Sometimes I were thinking about erasing the video due to my fear. Just seeing a family, destroyed by the actions of an officer whose the only job is serve and protect us, then it was just like a moral thing. I decided to just step forward and give that information to them and just be willing to pay any consequence.
We just felt like, hey, it is what it is. We got the video, here's the video. It's not like we were looking for any type of accolades or anything. It was just like we wanted the real story to be told.
His name is Faden Santana, and tonight he is speaking out for the first time.
My name started becoming public a day later. Everyone was asking who was the person who recorded the video. I decided that the best way for me to look for safety and protection is letting the whole world knew who was the person who recorded the video. And that way I would feel more safe, just because if anything would have happened to me, people wouldn't know why.
After the release of the video, the FBI called me up. They were telling me, we've been paying attention to online chatter.
Yep, Evelyn.
And there are several hate groups that are trying to find out where you live. And we're afraid that they may be planning to kill you.
Retaliation, death threats, people, posting on social media.
You get the traffic tickets, you get the threats. The police are surveilling us because we're the organization that took responsibility for turning in the footage of the Alton Sterling murder.
Today is a historic day for civil rights, particularly in officer-involved shootings.
If I could go back, I would do it again. I'm convinced that, the only reason why the officer got sentenced, it was, because of the video.
Unfortunately, the video didn't bring justice to the Sterling family. We actually believe that video would help us tremendously. However, it's the eyes of the person that's watching the video that counts. We see an individual that's being wrestled down and
selling CDs,
use of force, but other people seeing that he's resisting arrest. Everybody's never going to agree on what's happening, but the main thing that the video has done is brought about the conversation.
I decided to make my life here and contribute more in this community, bringing together the Black and the brown community to demand change. 2 months ago, I was elected second vice chair for the Charleston Democratic Party. This is Change Up Cuts. This is the barbershop, but it's bigger than that. This is a platform that I created for the community.
To have a place like this is epic in North Charleston. Something that North Charleston...
I saw Lydia Cotton over there, Miss Pro Cop Cotton.
...has needed for a long time, and now we have it.
I don't want just to be remembered, as an eyewitness. I
ain't gonna lie, where the Black women at, though? Y'all know I always ask that question. No shade, where the Black women at, though?
The people to know me as
we
the
running,
person who's also
Democratic
trying
Party,
to change
in essence,
our community and to change what affect me and Walter Scott families and many other families in this nation for years.
We were hired by the Ben Crump law firm. I'm working with the George Floyd family on a daily basis. And, to have the George Floyd bill go through Congress, we want it to be a bill that we're proud his name is on because it reformed the police department.
Right, Daddy changed the world.
Just his death alone woke up not America, it woke up the world. It brought people together of all colors and all different races. This is just a continuation of the civil rights movement.
That's why I'll always say that, especially we've seen here with how the body camera laws can be sidestepped by the police whenever they want to, right? They disclose what they want, when they want, how they want, narrated, edited, redacted, They'll turn on the body cameras when they want, turn off the audio when they want, all of that. That's why I'm a big proponent of, we don't really need more body cam laws and more body cams on cops. We need more cameras on cops. Like, we need to be aiming our camera lenses, and make sure I say that before someone takes my words out of context. We need to have our good morning, Rajon. We need to have our camera lenses focused and shooting the police, the camera shooting the police. We need that. We need more laws to protect people. I think the story, it showed you some headlines, but if you go ahead to the library and use your library card to access archived stories about Faden Santana, like what happened to Faden following his when his identity became widely known and publicized, you'll see like the kind of hell he caught. And so it's important to enact laws or to be very vocal about protecting folks who film the police, so that they don't face certain consequences, because that's what's going to happen. Like, I'm sure even the folks who have filmed some of the more heartbreaking extrajudicial killings of Black and brown people have faced so much opposition behind the scenes that we'll never even know about. You become doxxed, you get doxxed, you become a target. You're pulled over often. People looking to your work a little bit more. The cops, that blue wall is real, and those cops will use every tool at their disposal to make your life very uncomfortable, if not a living hell. And so we need more laws and policies enacted that actually protect folks who film the police committing crimes, who film the police. We need more laws to protect folks who film the police actually committing murder. It's important. And also, more importantly too, that they need, our law enforcement agencies need to abide by the laws that we have in this country, these rights to information. We need to strengthen those efforts so that when a FOIA request is issued by the paper, by the news outlet, by whatever journalist, they need to comply with that FOIA request. So access to the information, access to the film and footage is something we should be yelling for. And so you can, like, body cams, y'all can fight for that. It's a tool. It's proving to be ineffective, especially in a state like South Carolina, where there are tons of exemptions where law enforcement can sidestep these laws. And so we need to make sure that we protect the next Faden Santana, because you know what, y'all? There will be another police shooting. There will be another death at the hands of the police. It's unfortunate. It's sad, but it's the reality. And there will be a tendency from law enforcement to obscure the facts, if not out and out lie like Slager lied and say he was threatened, his life was threatened. He very nonchalantly picked up his gun and shot this man in his back, right? Your life was not threatened. He was running away from you. He was not armed. And then you plant evidence next to his dying body. Right. So, like, we know that they will obscure the facts and the truth. So I'm going to leave it there. We talked about a lot. Pull up justice. I'm going to say this as I hop off. Yeah, let's start thinking about pulling up. We still waiting on Scarlett. I know this city's a little different, right? I gotta look into that same facade. We have to dismantle the LEO Bill of Rights. I gotta look into that. Okay. Yeah. We gotta start pulling up, y'all. We gotta start pulling up. Get your lawn chairs. If you're not built for marching and all that, pull up. Let's pull up. Let's sit on Scarlett Wilson's lawn, or pull up a chair in front of her offices, or pull up on our city council people's lawn. And you gotta pull up. Show them that this is not right. This is not right. When those Proud Boys came to the city, and then not nearly enough white folk came out and protested against the Proud Boys being in the city in December. Not nearly enough. So, we got to go back to our basics, which is like what we've seen in Columbia and Elizabeth City and Mount Laurel, New Jersey. We got to pull up. All right. Pull up justice. Y'all take care. I appreciate y'all. Please be safe if you're dealing with the ramifications of Ella. Stay safe. Stay dry. I love y'all. See you tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. Bye.